Hello, Joke is here, and I hope you're having a wonderful October thus far. Now, fair warning, this is my first attempt at a TBR video, or YouTube video in general, so all the things that could mark me as a noob, like rambling and low production value and so on, still working on the background. Yeah, just bear with me. So, as I mentioned, this is my TBR for the fall season, and even though it ends December 21st, I will extend it 10 more days to the end of the year before I do my winter TBR, hopefully. Included in this list are not one, but two readathons, because first time I ever do them, I say, why not one? Why not two? But actually, honestly, by the time that I was watching these videos and saw the challenges, I'd already compiled my list and realized that it was just too perfect not to do it. It really fit perfectly into the challenges. So, plus I also really appreciate that the hosts of these readathons have really taken consideration the fact that, it being October and Halloween is like the kickoff to the holiday season, it's going to be very busy, so I really appreciate their flexibility in the sense of, the challenges that you could double up or even more. I mean, if you could get a book that covers all of it and it's just one book, as well as, the flexibility with the time and all that, because it is a very busy time. I, for one, will be trying to get a lot of done before November, because I also want to try my hand at NaNoWriMo. That being said, in this TBR, alongside books and reading materials, I'm also going to include shows and movies that I want to watch, as well as games. Yeah, I admit to watching game walkthroughs on YouTube, kind of like a mini-series of episodes, but the stories, because a lot of them are really great stories. So those will be my TV watched. Yeah, so anyways, see, I'm already rambling. Without further ado, let's get on to the TBR. So chronologically starting with Spookathon, that will run from October 17th to October 23rd and is hosted by three lovely ladies, of which I will put somewhere on the screen. And that consists of 5 challenges, and again, they're flexible in terms of doubling up on some or all, or you can skip on one or another for whatever reason. The first challenge is to read a thriller, and for that I chose The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. And if your eyebrow just arch in skeptical fashion, you can go ahead and lower it. It does in fact fall under the thriller genre. Actually it falls under a lot of genres, not surprisingly, of course, gothic horror. But yeah, I've been really wanting to read a lot of classics, specifically horror, and you will definitely see that a lot in this video. But yeah, so I was really happy when I saw that this was considered a thriller, and so yeah, I'm gonna start off with this, although not with this beautiful hardcover, even though it has a little dent here. But I got this at the Miami International Book Fair a couple years ago, but so I don't use it, it's just for pretty display. I'm gonna read the Barnes & Noble's paperback edition. So after that is read a book that has red on the cover. And for that I chose Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Yep, another classic. And this is actually going to double up for, let's see, yeah, read a book featuring a paranormal character or creature. And I think Frankenstein is basically his own kind of creature. I mean, there's like a gaggle of Frankensteins all around. But I'm really interested in reading this. I've always loved Frankenstein as a monster, and the philosophical, implements or components in it. It goes into this kind of story. So I'm very interested in reading it. It's good because it's a nice small book, even though the print is just this tiny. Good lord. But anyways, yeah. The next challenge is to read a book with a spooky word in the title, and for that I chose The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. And I got this a while ago, but I haven't read it yet, and I was in fact boinked over the head for that. Thank you, Giselle. But I am actually very excited to read this. And again, it's not, a really big book, so this should be really good. And see, it's newer. It's not my classic. It's newer. And the last challenge is to read a 2016 release. Now this was kind of difficult, and I had no idea like where to go because obviously for the season I wanted something, horror or thriller-esque. And this is where it really comes in handy watching other people's TBRs, because through that I found that I was really interested in This Savage Song by Vichy Schwab. I will put a picture of it somewhere here because I don't actually have it. I've ordered it, I'm still waiting on it. Now this is a tentative read or a tentative challenge simply because I want to get to the other one as well, and I don't know if I'll have enough time for everything, even though a lot of it's kind of short and some of them short stories and such, but I am interested in reading it, so even if I don't read it in time for the readathon, I'm definitely going to be reading it for the fall. Next readathon is Spooktober, which is actually kind of a booktube event. They'll have a lot of things through Instagram and Twitter. I'm just hardly ever on either, so but I know they have a lot of challenges and things aside from the readathon. Now this readathon is going to be from October 23rd to October 29th, and in it are 7 challenges. And again, just like the previous one, you can double up or on all of them, or some, or even skip out on a couple. That's I think one of the things I really liked about it is flexible, again, because of the holidays. So the first challenge is to read the group book, and for that they chose The Haunting of Hill House, which I will put again another picture somewhere here because I don't have it. I ordered it as well and I'm still waiting on it. Really, really impatiently waiting on it. I gotta say, when I realized that this is the book that The Haunting with Liam Neeson and oh my god, Catherine Zeta-Jones and Luke Owens, that this is the book that actually it's I don't know how closely based off or loosely based off it is, but I was very excited because I do like the movie. As much as if it's kind of like not great, I thought that the execution of it, like the story at least, was kind of poor, but I really loved the setting, and I loved how it kind of had like subtle, haunts or poltergeist activity, like with the angels and the headboard, like the way they would turn and kind of look at her, and some even like really grander ones, like in the conservatory with the statue and it picks up the guy and dunks him in the water, or the bed that kind of like, so it has like the subtle ones and the really crazy ones. And aside from it, the house or the mansion, really, it's so eerily, hauntingly enchanting. I fell in love with it. I remember right after having watched that movie, I was like, that is my dream house. Which everyone was like, which is fine. It'll discourage visitors, or at least, from staying a long time. It's just fine. But it's so up my alley. It's so gaudy and creepy, and that's just explains me. So, and for that one, I'm actually going to not just double, triple with the read a book and watch its movie adaptation. So I'm going to rewatch The Haunting, but I'm also going to watch the 60s version, which from what I've heard is closer to the book. So that'll be exciting. And as well as read a book in a spooky setting. I mean, you can't get any spookier than that gaudy, creepy mansion. So the next challenge is to read a book that has fall colors on the cover. And for that, I'm doubling up on, actually not doubling up, crossing over from the other challenge with Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, because aside from the red that the other one needs, that the other challenge requires, this one has fall colors. And I don't know, it's just very, very orangey, very fall colors, kind of like my shirt. Is to read a book by an iconic horror author, and for that I chose H.P. Lovecraft and this great compendium of great tales of horror, or collection of compendium. Yeah, and for this I'm kind of double up. I don't know if it'd be cheating to double up on a short story, but the other challenge is to read a book featuring your favorite creatures. I love witches, so I was thinking of reading the Dreams in the Witch House. for both the Iconic Author Challenge and Favorite Creature Challenge. However, if I have time and if I still have, after reading everything, and I still can read something else and include it within the challenge, then I'll probably just read that short story for the favorite creature and then go and read this one, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Irving Washington, to fulfill the Iconic Author Challenge. So, but that's if I manage to, get it in there. So I've been doing pretty short. I mean, they're really short. I mean, I should be able to. And the last challenge is to read a horror graphic novel. As much as I would love to get my hands on Lock and Key, I can at the moment. Already haven't bought The Haunting of Hill House and The Savage Song, but it's definitely most probably going to be on, most probably, perhaps, for sure, going to be in my winter. TBR, yeah. But, okay, long story short to it, I know. For that, I'm gonna go with Marvel's Zombie versus the Army of Darkness. I love the movie. I love Ash. I love Bruce Campbell. And, I've had it for a while and I haven't read it, so I definitely want to take that opportunity to read it. It's like superheroes, but it's horror superheroes. I mean, it's zombies, which is another of my favorite creatures. And yeah, I mean, I'm really excited about that. And if I have time, I would also like to reread Silent Hill, Sinner's Reward by IDW. And I read this a while ago, and I remember most of it, but I definitely would like a refresher with this, as well as getting the other ones, perhaps, for winter. So, yeah, and that's pretty much it for my... I blanked out. So, that's about it for my readathons. Now, moving on to the rest of fall. Now, as I mentioned before, if I don't get this into the readathon, then I'll read it right after, but it is, of course, Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Irving Washington. After that, I'll probably grab this wonderful Penny Streetfold collection, and from it, we'll read The Pit and the Pendulum by Edgar Allan Poe. I read The Raven, and not to say I didn't like it because I did very much, but I didn't love it, so I'm really interested to read some of his other works. And the other one that I'm going to read from this collection is The Werewolf, A Legend of the Limousine by Richard Thompson. So, I don't know, I just figured I need to get my classic horror, my classic creatures in horror done. Which, having said that, Dracula by Bram Stoker is also included, and that's going to be somewhere here because it's another one that I've ordered. Yeah, I think it's about time I get into this book. It's one of those where it's always kind of been my TBR of life, I guess, but I haven't really gone around to, and being that I'm so hooked up with classic horror right now, I think it's better to... The next read after that will probably, most likely, be H.P. Lovecraft, another short story from here, which I'm thinking of The Shadow over Innsmouth, because I can't resist. Then, Feast of All Saints by Anne Rice. I'm actually excited, and I would have probably added this to Spooktober, but it's a lengthier book, and Anne Rice sometimes tends to leave me with a book hangover, so I'll probably actually read some of the short stories after reading this, just to kind of recover. But my sister Giselle, who usually does not like Anne Rice, really enjoyed this book, so I really look forward to it. I mean, it's witches, voodoo, and in New Orleans, which is, all elements that I absolutely love. So I've had this for a while, and I really need to read it now. Now, along with all my classic horror, I will also be reading piratey stuff, because that's actually what I'm going to be writing about in NaNoWriMo. I have a graphic novel that is, pirate-centric. So I'll be reading Pirate Hunter, The True Story of Captain Kidd by Richard Sachs. And I've actually started it, but I'll be reading it throughout all the other books that I read. And it's actually really interesting. There's a lot of facts. It was actually I started this a while ago, but I never really finished it. So I'm going over it again. But I remember thinking, after watching the first couple of Pirates of the Caribbean movies, how they had some really accurate stuff in it alongside the fantastical and fantasy side of it. But so yeah, I'm actually really getting into this now, and also because you can't have pirates without a little bit of classic Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. So I'm great because I'll be reading 2 of his stuff now. For my TBR portion, although I feel like there's more and I'm missing, but I'm not sure. I mean, I think it's enough. I think that should take me well over. So now, moving on to shows. Definitely need to get into Hannibal. I know, I'm usually the type to get into the wagon when everyone's already left it. And I'm like, oh, like, this seems interesting. Maybe I should actually check it out. So, definitely Hannibal. American Horror Story Coven, which kind of want to time it so I can watch it alongside that I'm reading Feast of All Saints. Oh yeah, Black Sails, that's my pirate portion that I need for further inspiration for writing. Another one that is new, and I think it already premiered, so I already need to catch up, is Channel Zero on Sci-Fi. It seemed, at least from the trailers that they gave, it seemed really interesting. So, like an interesting concept, so I'll be checking that one out. And another one is an anime, which is Agent Demi-Human on Netflix, as well as Marco Polo, which is also kind of around the time that I'll be writing in, and also seems really interesting and fun to watch. That was it for shows. Moving on to movies. There's a lot that I gotta catch up with, actually, including The Woman in Black 2, The Conjuring 2, a lot of sequels here, as well as The Babadook, The Housebound, Stonehurst Asylum. Yeah, a lot of these I'm getting from Netflix. Now, Stonehurst Asylum, I have never seen, like commercials or trailers of it or anything, but it looks like it has a really good cast. And it's Asylum, and I just have a soft spot for haunted asylums. I don't know, what can I say? So, The Lazarus Effect, The Awakening, The Loft, and I don't know if you can tell there's a lot of horror movies. Red Signals, The Taking of Deborah Logan, Paying the Ghost, which I believe is with Nicolas Cage, Visions, Hunt, The Ward, The Diabolical, Backtrack, which is with Adrian, oh good lord, Adrian, is it Brody? I hope you know what I'm talking about. But I really like him, and at least the synopsis that I read looked very interesting. So I'm actually very looking forward to that one. A Haunting of Silver Falls, The Veil, The Great Hypnotist, which is another one that's also sounds very interesting to me. And Lizzie Borden Took an Axe, which I believe is a Lifetime movie, with Christina Ricci, who I love and haven't seen for a while, so I'm very interested to watch her in that, or game walkthroughs on YouTube. I'm thinking of Prince of Persia, The Two Thrones, because for the graphic novel, even though it's pie-centric, I want to kind of take it away from the Caribbean and into the Mediterranean. It'll be all over the place, but it'll focus there. So there's a lot of lore and mythology that I need to catch up on the Persian and Arabian side. And it also just has a very, Eastern vibe to it, which will be good as inspiration. So, I don't know if I'll be watching another game, or I don't know what other one there could be, there is, that also has kind of the same Eastern, vibe to it. If you have any suggestions as for not just games, but just literature or movies that are, heavy on that, aside from, the usuals that we know, let me know. So that concludes this fall TBR, and if you sat through the entirety of this video, thank you so much for giving me a chance and being patient and just bearing it with me. I hope to make others, and I also hope to get better at them, and I hope that it was, there's a lot of hope in this, which is good. There's a lot of horror, you need a lot of hope. If you're going to join in on any of these readathons, I would love to hear what you're going to read for them, and as well as any questions and any thoughts and comments, go ahead and leave them down below. And being that it's October and Halloween, it's ever so close and fast approaching. Have a very safe and a wonderful holiday, and just enjoy to the max. For me, it's my absolute favorite holiday. So, I mean, I even got my Halloween village up, which unfortunately I would have loved as my background, but it's just the spot where it is. The lighting isn't that great at all. With that, I'm gonna now try to gracefully bow out with Mr. Jackie. So good night. Don't let the bed bugs bite too hard. Really, joke is yeah. Good night. Stop slipping, camera. I see you.